G'day from Melbourne, Australia. My name's Ozzy Salins from Pure Eco Homes. Welcome to our YouTube blog. We're on the site of Australia's largest high-performance build, and we've got some really interesting things going on, as you might have gathered from our previous videos. But today I want to focus on the cladding and some of the little issues in making it watertight. And you can see Ryan's up there just putting on the last of the matrix cladding on that section right up at the top there. So we got two things that I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about making the matrix cladding waterproof and making the EPS waterproof as well. So let's go inside and have a look. We're going to have a look at how we waterproof the EPS cladding, which is that there, and the matrix cladding, which is on the other side there. Now you can see around the windows how we've got the Siga Wiggler, which is airtight sealing the window to the Marvest wrap. And Siga actually do state that the Marvest is wind tightly, and on the inside, when we come to do the inside, and we'll film that as well for you, that's the airtightly membrane in there. So we'll come to that in a later video. But what I want to do first is to focus on the EPS here, and I want to show you that once the guys have done the cladding around, okay, what you're going to find is there are inevitably gaps around the window frame. Okay, and we're just looking at a small one here, but it applies equally to all the other ones. Now you can see that around the bottom of the window there's a gap there, and look, that sill is really important. Okay, if you're supervising your build and your builder does not give you a 15-degree angle on that sill there, okay, there, so that you get your water running off it, then insist that he makes that happen for you. Okay, basically he needs to use a bevel on that as he's cutting it to get that angle. All right, now what we want to do obviously is to make that watertight. So I'm going to seal that with Sikaflex Pro right around that edge over there, right around the perimeter, and make sure that we got a good thick bead on there, because you put a too thin bead on and that's just not going to work. It's gonna crack itself, even though it is Siga, which is one of the best sealants available. So we'll do that, and I'll show you how that works. And once we've got that watertight along all the edges, the renderers are going to come along and butt right up to that section there, okay, and give you a nice line across there, and that thing's going to be watertight for a very long time. So let's get going on that now. Okay, so guys, we're ready here to get the Sikaflex Pro on now. So I'm using a Milwaukee caulking gun. Look, you can just use a standard sausage gun. I mean, this thing is pretty heavy. It's good and robust, but you know, where you've got a bit of tight areas to work with, not really the tool to use. But out here in the open, we can use it, and we get a good, nice, consistent caulking bead on it as well. So we're gonna start over here. Once you press the trigger, count 1, 2, 3, and then your bead will start to come down. So let's go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, start moving. Okay. Get into all the cracks on the side. Make sure you got a nice thick bead there, as we discussed, and just keep it going nice and steady all the way down. Look, it doesn't matter, it doesn't need to look pretty. What you're trying to do is to get the watertight seal on it. Okay, so if you've got too much, that's fine, that's no problem at all. Just moving along consistently gives you a nice bead, but as I said, we're not really interested in the final finish here. We want to get a nice thick bead to to get it nice and water sealed. Sorry, you can't see this corner here, but we're doing the same thing as we did over the other side, coming straight down. And then obviously there's a point where we're going to have to turn around and we'll come back the other way, which is now. The good thing about this gun is the moment you take your finger off the trigger, it actually stops and just sucks it back slightly, so you don't get any run on from it, which is pretty good. So let's come back up, press the trigger, 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, so let's put that down for a second, and what we're going to do is I'm just going to grab a rag and we're going to smooth off with our finger. Look, a bit messy, but works good. Okay, so start at the top. Where you've got a join in the EPS, just run the Siga right through that join as well, and that gives you a good airtight seal. Now look, I don't know many builders that actually do this. Obviously we're doing it because we want it to be watertight, but we also want it to be airtight. And as I showed you with the wig glove sealing around the window, that's going to give you your airtightness anyway. But look, this, you've got to do it, okay? And if you find that your builder's not doing it, insist on it. And guys, you got to do this, okay? This is really important. So give it a nice run there, okay? And then right into the corners. We're going to put some more in there in a minute, but just run your finger down so you get a nice thick bead across it. And just smooth it off. As I said, this is not a beauty contest. We just want to make sure that we got a nice thick bead across it. So that's lovely. And I'm just wiping the excess into the corners, which we do need to give a little bit more of a going over because the corners are obviously very important. Okay? You want to make sure your corners are sealed very well. So, got a join there, let's get some in there as well. Okay, so that looks pretty good to me. Look, we can't quite get to that joint, so we're going to have to jump down onto the next level of the scaff and get that from the bottom. But let's work on this section here. So we've actually done all sides, we've tooled it off, and I want to give it a good, nice dollop here. Because guess what happens in these corners? Folks, can you see why it actually takes a long time to build these kind of homes, these high performance home builds, where you're focusing on air tightness, you're doing what's required on your waterproofing to make sure it's watertight, which is 100% important, okay? So I want to get a little bit in there. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, and just up in this corner here. And you know, you got to do this for every single window and every single opening in the wall. Get it right. Okay. So, same thing. Let's smooth it off nicely. Smooth it off nicely. Bring it right up. Smooth it off from the edge there. So we're getting that nice tight bead. We've got a nice tight seal around. And as I said, when your renderers come, they're gonna put their masking tape right along the edge, render right up to there, right around. You're gonna get a lovely finish to it. It's gonna be watertight, it's gonna be airtight for years.